And we're back. Hello and welcome to Pocketgamer LaunchPad number 3, the third installment of our now ongoing live streaming show. My name is James Gilmore. I am the video producer over here at Pocketgamer. If you are subscribed to the YouTube channel, you probably at least heard me, if not maybe seen me once or twice. If you're watching over there on Twitch, then hello, we are back. This is pretty much what we use Twitch for these days, a delivery service for mobile games streaming stuff, which is what this show is all about. We're Pocketgamer, and we've been around since pretty much the beginning of mobile gaming. I saw the year earlier, and I think it was 2006, Pocketgamer started as a site, which was before touchscreens were even a thing, before Angry Birds were a glint in Rovio's eye, and now we're here and it's the future, and it's well, it's awful, isn't it? The future. Let's be honest. 2020 was terrible, and 2021 is also terrible. So, but luckily, we're here to talk about nice things, like new mobile games. The idea of the event is we show off stuff that is brand new and often exclusive to this show and this channel. We'll be doing 2 shows, running from today for the next couple of hours, and also tomorrow, Friday, at the same time for 2 hours. And during that time, we'll be showing you new updates for games that are already out, announcements for games that haven't even appeared yet, everything from big, expensive AAA stuff with millions of subs to little tiny indie games that maybe people have never ever heard of before. So we tend to run the gamut. As always, I'm not doing it by myself. I am being joined by a friend, a new person to the stream. So everybody, please kindly welcome, it's Charlie Scowen. Hello, sir.
Hey, James, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Everything is okay. I've already had someone's in the chat. Is James wearing an Arrival shirt? Yes, I didn't know you spoke. Haley and Dave, well spotted. Nicely done. You are pretty much logo free, apart from the cap, I suppose. But how are things where you are? Whereabouts are you located, by the way, Charlie?
I live in a lovely little town called Luton. It's not that lovely. I lied. Whenever I tell anybody that, I always get the, oh, is that the one with the airport? And I go, yes.
That's
our
best
only claim to fame
in the world that everybody.
Yeah.
I've been there once, and that was quite enough. For folks who maybe aren't familiar with you, I've done my introduction. What is it that you do over at Pocketgamer?
So, in a nutshell, I work with the marketing team. I help promote these events, such as LaunchPad, as well as our B2B event, Pocketgamer Connects,
Yes.
and I help post stuff on the social media through editorial as well.
So it's thanks to you that anyone knows this is happening then?
I would say that, but
take the credit. Come on, accept the compliment.
I help. Let's just say I do things and help, pretty much.
Do things, and occasionally people see those things and choose.
Yes,
that's all we need. Yeah. That's good enough. Good enough for us. So, as I said before, we're going to be showing you a bunch of what is usually bit of footage. We're going to be playing some games, actual live stuff. So I'm going to be plugging this in and hoping it doesn't explode. By the way, if anybody does see something go horribly wrong, then that's fine. Like, I'm okay with it. We've had 2 of these events so far, and there's been 3 shows per event, and nothing's exploded yet. So I think we're due. So I think it brings a kind of
tempting fate there, James, aren't you?
No, I'm just anticipating the worst. Like, it brings a little bit of scrappy realism to the show, I think.
Yeah, if you always anticipate the worst, you can never be disappointed.
Exactly. So, you don't want everything to be too slick, or people think we're professionals or something. We can't be having that. So we'll be running through. By the way, we are both streaming on YouTube and on Twitch as well. If you are watching either, then I've already seen people chatting away in the comments over on YouTube. I've got people looking at both bits, so if we don't respond immediately, don't worry, but I'll try and feed stuff back to you, and obviously Charlie will be keeping an eye on it as well. So throw in comments, observations, recommendations for new games, and if you like the look of what you're seeing, of course, give us a shout out and let us know, because some of these devs are not huge developers making these games, and so for them it's sort of nice to get a little bit of exposure anywhere. And for other people, obviously, they've already got millions and they don't need me. So we're just sharing the good news, as it were. So I think it's probably time for me to stop talking, and we should start looking at some stuff. So let's begin with our first thingy. Lost Light then. So, they've already run a beta of this game, and as you probably gathered from what you just saw there, third-person survival shooter business is what's going on here, which for me seems to have become like one of the most popular genres on any platform, not just mobile. Have you gotten into any of their, well, first of all, like the PUBG craze is, I guess, you know, where it started, and then Fortnite, and now even more weird survival stuff has taken over. Is it Valheim that came out like last week?
Yeah, yeah,
Solarian?
yeah. Valheim is the latest example of that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it definitely has that sort of PUBG, I'd say, kind of vibe. Escape from Tarkov as well, with sort of loot and rags to riches, like they said in the trailer, as well as DayZ, where they had the early access with that.
Yeah.
And it does look quite interesting, and it's yeah, very interesting to see how a mobile game will sort of do that. But yeah, it looks pretty good, and I'm yeah, big impressed with what I see so far.
You're into the idea at least. Well, so there's already been a beta that's taken place, and what they're doing is they're keeping their eye on the next one. So the announcement they're bringing out is they are going to be adding a few new game modes, sandbox modification systems, and of course, like, you know, textures and weapon bits and whatnot to the next beta, which you may be able to get involved in if you're interested. So first of all, they've got the new game mode, which is called Winner Takes All, which is a ranked mode. And the idea is that you spend points that you get from the battlefield and then exchange them for items and weapons in the pot after the game, which I guess if you're familiar with any survival stuff, probably sounds like the thing that you generally do. You also get the game's final stage, which once it's added, has one available exit and one only. So the idea with this one, I think, is an extraction game where you have to get out. So if there's only one exit, then it's going to turn into a massive cluster fudge on the way out. I guess in the same way that a lot of battle royale shooters, you know, gradually shrink the map till you're all just butting up against one another. We're also going to be talking about one of those in a bit, which I played for the first time, which is fun, a mobile focused one. They're also introducing changes to the sandbox modification system they have there, which basically gives you a blueprint function so you can start messing and modifying with your guns that little bit easier. Do you customize your weaponry in games? Are you one of these people who puts on like the brightly colored decals and you know, are you the guy with the pink Uzi is what I'm asking?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I can't lie. I often do that with any game I sort of play, especially if it's like a battle royale like Warzone or something like that. Just think it looks cool at the
Green
end of the day.
Mohican, pink Uzi, and
Yeah.
see you from across the
Or
other
if you
side of the
if you get
island.
the golden camos, you got to flex on that a little bit. You know?
Also good, also nice.
Yeah.
So during the development after the first beta, they've gone and expanded their additional like firearms and components. They've also added improvements of textures, and they give a little quote saying they've just concluded their first CBT. Participants had a wonderful experience. Well, they would say that. But the game's still in early development and much needs to be done before the official release, which is why what you saw there was kind of preview. However, we will be keeping you updated with the updates and developments for the game, and we're going to let you know when the next beta is available. So if you go to the official website, which is linked via the story that we have over on Pocket Gamer, you'll be able to get a look and get involved early if you want to. Which also brings me to mention the fact that everything we talk about here will have an accompanying story over on pocketgamer.com. Plus, there are more stories that we haven't covered because frankly, we couldn't fit it all into 2 days. So make sure that you go over to PG during the next 2 days to see all this and more, plus all the usual news and reviews and previews and features and everything else that we put up there on the site. So make sure that's added to your bookmarks. And while you're there, head over to the YouTube channel too and give that a follow because I lurk around there doing video things from time to time. It's been known to happen. If you had to dive into a new survivalish game, for example, did you try Valheim? Are you going anywhere near it, or is there one what you focus on?
I'm definitely going to try that. I'm definitely going to try that. And you know what? I might try this Lost Light as well. It looks quite interesting, and with it being a mobile game, it seems like something that you can just hop in back and forth, and that seems like my sort of game.
It's kind of well suited in terms of gathering up stuff, because for me the thing that sometimes pushes me away from these games is the grind, is the collection gathering aspect, which I'm slightly less interested in. And maybe if I can just pop up and gather a few things and then bugger off again, that's quite good, and that is very well suited to mobile. So quite right. So if people are interested, Lost Light is the name of the game. You can go over to the official site via our story over on PG and get involved in the next beta as and when it appears. We'll let you know when it does. Now, speaking of Battle Royales. So, let me switch my little graphic over, get rid of that, and we're going to bring this one up instead. We've talked about Battle Royale before on LaunchPad. We've been covering its growth and expansion, basically. This is an Apple Arcade Battle Royale game that was released a little while back, and they have continued to support and update it. And for the first time, I played it this week, just because I was curious. I don't suppose, have you had a go at this one or had a look at it?
I have not yet, but I am very interested. Just when you think that Battle Royale games could not get more innovative, they released this.
Well, where you're lobbing food at people.
Yeah.
That's kind of the theme of it. It's a food themed Battle Royale shooter. It's not a first person or like third person over the shoulder. It's more kind of isometric top down. It has more in common with like a traditional twin stick shooter. Right down to the controls, where you can either tap the fire button to shoot the nearest or drag the thing around to aim where you're shooting. Twin sticks tend to work quite nicely on touchscreens, I find, so I am drawn to them. This particular update, the new thing that we're talking about here, is what's coming up, the mid-March update, and you're going to be getting spices, because spices are the things that stand in for like buffs or boosts in the game. And so there was an initial update where they added, I think, 3 of them, and then there are 11 new more coming. So I think originally got cinnamon, coca, and cayenne, and the next update brings 11. Now, my question for you is, what these spices represent as in-game effects? So if I was to say to you, ghost pepper, what do you reckon that is? What will that do to your character or your enemies?
So for that, I could say there's either 2 things. Either you're going to speed round because you're going to be on fire, or you're actually going to have it as a ghost. You're going to be like a ghost. So that's 2 different ways I see it.
I didn't even think that. My mind went straight to burning, excruciating hot and setting your enemies on fire. But no, I like that. That's good. That works. How about, what's another one? Maple syrup. That's another one of the 11. What do you think?
I would say perhaps you either make your enemies sticky, like you stick to the ground, or at least slippery, at least a slippery area, and it kind of impairs their movement, I'd say.
I reckon I'm going to go with maple syrup slick. That's what I like. We've got agreen437 in the chat here saying likes the art style. Yeah, the thing that made it work for me, and I'm glad I actually sat down and played it for a little bit, is that it is bold and cartoonish, and everything is very clear on the screen. And I think there's a problem with some mobile games where what they've done is they've taken a PC game or a console game and they've just smushed it down, and they haven't really done much in the way of optimizing it. They haven't accounted for the fact that all those numbers, which looked fine on my 50-inch screen, now they're microscopic, and it becomes a real hard work to try and read the screen and make any sense of what's going on. So the best mobile games tend to have kind of very big, obvious silhouettes, so you can distinguish stuff nice and clear. And that's what this has. And as a result, it's very easy to see what's going on, read the screen, what's an enemy, what's an item, all that kind of stuff. And works all the better for it. It's also not super fast paced, as in your character doesn't race around the screen like this. It's got a very steady rhythm. And I find, especially with touchscreen controls, just slowing things down a notch makes a world of difference in terms of playability. You don't have that horrible thing where you move your thumb a fraction of an inch and the camera just jerks. because
Yeah.
they did that
Yeah,
near
for
the
sure.
beginning of mobile, and it was a nightmare. Have
You
you?
should leave that sort of stuff for console for sure. But
Yeah,
yeah,
because not
but
everyone has a controller, or I mean, more now, I guess, because everything supports like the Xbox One controllers and stuff like that, or the just Xbox controller. That's what they're called now, aren't they? With the new Series X and S. But now you can connect those to anything via Bluetooth, so a lot of people do have them, but you're not carrying it around in your pocket, really. So stuff still needs to work. Like a lot of people would complain when we did reviews and things and say that, for example, we didn't talk about the controllers or you didn't review it with a controller. And it's like, well, no, because 90% of people more will never use a controller in the game. It needs to work with the touchscreen or it's not good. Unfortunately.
that's what it's designed for. And
Yeah.
yeah,
So someone's saying here, Eagle, I wish there was a type of Apple Arcade in Android. There kind of is, Eagle. So Google Play Pass is a subscription service that you get for Google Play, and it effectively follows the same kind of model where you pay a certain amount a month and you get access to a huge amount of games, lots of premium stuff from way back in the day. And it's got a lot of stuff that's quite expensive. So, for example, out of the air, the Knights of the Old Republic games are on there as part of it. But lots of good, solid premium games rather than free-to-play stuff. I couldn't remember the list because it's updated all the time, but it exists. It's maybe worth checking out if you like your premium stuff more than your free-to-play. But also, people have seen that Apple Arcade is... I don't know. Are you part of Apple Arcade? Have you done it? Have you signed up and...
no, I haven't actually. It's always something that's like coming up on my feed, and it's something definitely worth checking out. But I just haven't myself gotten around to it.
No.
Yeah.
Well, they are still updating with a lot of stuff. They haven't said anything about the kind of the user data or anything because they never do because they're Apple. But there seems to be a lot of games still appearing for it, and they lean into the whole exclusive nature of it. As Eagle's just saying, tried it, but Eagle likes the exclusives in Apple Arcade. I know what you mean. They do tend to be either they come over from PC and they're only available in Apple Arcade, or they're made specifically for the service, like Battle Royale, like something like this. So it gives you a reason to stay subscribed. And the games, we've reviewed a lot of them on Pocket Gamer. We're big fans of a lot of the output. I like premium games. Like not that all free-to-play games are evil, because they're not. But you need to do them right. And so having a place where you can get the premium experience is still good. So there are other spices that are coming in the middle of March. If you unlock these spices, these upgrades, things like the ghost pepper we mentioned, there's mustard, there's onion, there's sesame and thyme. This is just ingredients. They're making a casserole. Once you've unlocked them, it means that stuff's available to you forever, and you can equip them anytime before you go into a new match. We don't know at this point what the effects are, which is why we were guessing. So we'll have to see when it appears. Also, in March, we're going to be getting an update that includes new character skins. So the skins include these characters called Hockey Chuck, Stella Sparkles, and the Countessa. I don't know who they are, but I guess
Neither, but they sound very interesting.
Well, we'll see what works out. But if you do have an Apple Arcade subscription already, this stuff will come to you, not free, but it'll come to you as part of the subscription. If you haven't tried Apple Arcade yet and you're interested, I'm pretty sure they give you like a month at least free to give it a go. But we found a lot of stuff that's on the service. And if you're looking for what's worth playing on Apple Arcade, we tend to do roundups over on Pocket Gamer. Both Dan and folks end up writing big articles. I think Jupiter is one of our writers who's updating the list regularly about all the new updates on Apple Arcade and the best games that are available. So if you are interested, that's the place to go and check out. Right, let's move on to something a little bit more interstellar.
The Federation is our peaceful home. On this day, the Empire came to bring chaos, pain, and death. They want to plunder everything in the galaxy. To protect our home, we can only risk our lives by fighting. The willpower of freedom will never surrender. entire Federation fall apart. The once lofty ideals no longer exist. Will you become our new hope, Commander?
That was dramatic, wasn't it? Goodness me. So, Infinite Galaxy, as you will have noticed from the little thing up there. Where am I pointing? There, that way. They are our sponsors for the stream for the next 2 days, and we have gotten hold of a copy of the game because it seemed like the right professional thing to do. And here we go. This is it. This is the game playing. If people can hear stuff in the chat, I'm going to just put this up for a second because I'm not getting any audio. If I switch out of this and pop back in, I bet that fixes the audio. It tends to. Let's have a go. Uncork. Yeah, there we go. Now we got sound. So, this is, as you could probably gather, online mobile strategy business set in space. It's only been out for a couple of weeks. We've already got about 1 million downloads on Google Play. And it's all about traversing the galaxy and the star system and defending yourself against other alien factions and whatnot, but also going out there and blowing things up too, because you got to do it, haven't you? I've been playing it for the past couple of days, and I've left it at this bit of the campaign so we can move on to another chapter over here. And the game is still walking us through stuff, because even after a couple of days, there's a lot going on. It's one of those ones where you're building up resources, where you're creating a flagship, bolstering it, building up a little squad and crew, sending them off on places, recruiting people to pilot the ships. There's a lot going on, basically. So here we go. We have been dragged out into the middle of a battle. Objective here is to kill all enemies. I'm going to hit reinforcements just to check if we've got the cash for it. Not yet. Over the course of the battle, you'll be able to see that resources tick up in the top left-hand corner of the screen. And over time, I'll be able to summon additional reinforcements. In the meantime, I'm going to direct my flagship towards the fight. Can people hear anything? Is it loud enough? Do they need more? Shout in the stream if you can't hear the gameplay, basically, and I can turn it up, because I'm a kind demigod like that. How do you enjoy sci-fi stuff, Charlie? Are you a sci-fi or a fantasy person?
I'm more of a fantasy person, but there are a few times where a sci-fi grips me. I even downloaded this game earlier on and was testing it out.
Oh,
and yeah, the very premise, it felt like restoring peace against the what do you call them, the Empire.
That's
or something
right.
like that. It just felt like it was missing that sort of restore balance to the Force, I guess. But, no,
well,
I like the intro to it. It seems very gripping and very dramatic. So
it's definitely going for the big space opera drama. The thing I found interesting about it is like the way that the game is sort of stratified. So what you wind up with is, let me check my reinforcements, not yet. This stuff, which is kind of the real-time strategy angle, you can see I'm directing the ship towards the battle. I've got 2 attacks that I can use in the lower right-hand side of the screen. I can hit that kind of cluster of torpedoes and then actually tap on enemies to direct it towards them. And I've got a much more generic shield option here. That I can throw up. Those charge over time, and in the meantime they just the ships will sit there and shoot of their own accord. I can also add reinforcements as I go through, so like a kind of tower defense game, I guess. Over the course of the battle it charges up, and now I can, for example, get this Falcon class frigate out there, and they've warped in and they're now joining the fight. But back at the home base, which we'll get to in a bit, it's all about the management. It's all about making sure that you've got your ships up to the right levels, that you have the ability to manufacture all the different ships that you're trying to fly, all the weapons that they need, and all that kind of business. Oh my god, something quite big has warped in, and I was unprepared. Yikes! Let's reinforce, shall we? Oh, can't do it yet. Let's carry on. I think we may have smashed him. It's looking good. Yeah.
Easy.
No worries.
No problem for you, James.
Well, no, I'm not going to say. I like sci-fi. Big sci-fi fan, me. So I am more Mass Effect than I am Dragon Age, which I think that's the appropriate litmus test for which side you fall on. So I tend to go towards that. So I'm already in the bag to some degree for this thing. I think it's just a shallow I think it's just like neon flashy lights. There's more neon. And even when I do play fantasy games, I always lean towards mage classes because, again, more flashy lights and neon. I like myself a thunderbolt, you know? It's good stuff.
With fantasy games for me, I've always been that sort of like hack and slash, but recently I've been sort of edging towards the mages just to create destruction through the games, just blow everything up.
Right on. I've just seen some people in the chat saying, turn it up. I am cranking it accordingly. Thank you for the notes there. I can hear it loud and clear over here, but obviously I'm aware it's not the same for the stream. Let's get stuck into these boys. God, there's a couple of them. Some big ships. All the big flagship stuff I like. I always enjoyed it's why the Trek was almost more interesting than the Star Wars to me. We're going to have to pick a Star franchise, because I liked the big ships moving slowly. Yeah. The moment they started like racing around and doing somersaults and stuff, I was like, nah, this isn't really it. I was all about those kind of like massive naval maneuvers where it feels like the ships are gigantic and have presence, and turning them around takes about 10 minutes.
It feels like there's that sort of impending doom with those bigger ships as they move closer and closer and more slowly.
Speaking of impending doom, I just got taken out. Disgusting. I'm going to head back to my home base to show you what's going on over here. So this is my little flagship. What would you call this? The bridge, I suppose? Either way. You've got a whole bunch of different elements over here. So this is my actual flagship. So that's the big ship that you saw there that I was leading into battle. And of course I can go through and start modifying these things once I've got the cash or the resources in order to do so. By the way, we will be giving you a code in a couple of minutes which will give you additional resources if you choose to download this game and get involved. So if you want to build additional flagships, you can also hop in, and you've got a number of different ones that you can do. Technically, I could start building one because I've got enough cash to do it, but I'm wary that I might need that cash for something else. For example, heading over here to the command ship. So this is not the thing that goes into battle. This is the space station, if you like, the home base. And each different element of this can be upgraded and leveled, and will give me perks and allow me to do things like repair things faster, or build weapons quicker, or something like that. So for example, this one gives me research access. The research center will allow me to develop different types of ships if I choose to upgrade it. I actually am going to get this one now because I haven't really spent any of the in-game currency yet. I always tend to save it up. You're one of those people who ends up like saving up special weapons that have a limited number of uses because you might need it, and then you complete the game and you've not touched this amazing arsenal of stuff, and you're like, oh, that was pointless, wasn't it?
That tends to happen with a lot of games for me. I would not go through or upgrade my weapons either because there's just so many, or I think I'm just gonna save it up. I'm gonna save it up, and then like you say, complete the game, and then it's just like, oh, I've never had a chance to test it out. So you just go into the wilderness and then just start hacking slashing everything. Yeah,
pretty much. Right, I'm going to slide back into that campaign battle. Also, while I'm doing that, we're collecting big things over here. We've got a shipbuilding dock over here as well, which I can start building immediately. So this is a Phoenix class cruiser that I can then add to my big shippy battalion, which is very nice. I pop back here. And also the crew. Now, I've only got a couple of crew members at the moment. We tend to send them off on expeditions. So beyond this bit, the management stuff and the battling, there's also exploration of other galactic points, which you can go and like send them over a few galaxies over, and they come back with bits and pieces, and you can of course upgrade your crew as well, give them tactical training and all of that business. So I'm going to send them over here, give them tactical training in this base.
Tactical training bases are set to be the original training facilities of the Empire. Utilizing tons of self-repair fleets makes the drill grounds recover just like new at set intervals.
There you go. So I can sit here and use it for tactical training, or if I want to, I can attack it. I'm not going to attack it. That would defeat the whole point of this thing. Now, I'm getting lots of rewards here because I've done a bunch of stuff like killing space pirates. So let's take out some small marauders, shall we? We're going to attack this group of small marauders. So this is another aspect. We've kind of we've zoomed out another stage here, and you can see here all these different outposts. And we are now moving our ship in to start laying into these marauders. This isn't like the battle I just took part in where I can control. This is more like they're just sending the fleet in and we're sitting back and watching. This is kind of going on beyond us.
More of an automated battle, would you say?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So you can do that stuff as well if you want to, or you can, spend more time focusing on the battles where you are literally in the thick of it and directing the battle blow by blow, if that's your bag.
On the lower level of the spaceport,
there we go.
We found the spaceport core module. A core component.
They found a core module, a core component. Lets me operate the spaceport.
Core module determines the size and
I'm going to skip through some of this chat and just summarize.
The core module level?
We need to increase the core module level
events and mission
by doing rewards, doing investigations, and it's pretty much going to show me how now. Oh, here we go. Lush. So, this is a core module chip, which increases spaceport core.
The first level modify is complete.
And I just completed my first level of modification. Nice. There you go. And now I've got that 3-tiered upgrade system, so I can start
I don't want to
increasing, in this instance, the build speed of the warship. So as I start to increase my output, I want to... Let's upgrade to level 1. Nice. That'll do me.
We've just got a question in here.
Oh, yeah?
How much space for strategic variety, James?
Well, it depends on the stuff that you've unlocked, really. So at the moment, I'm dealing with 2 attacks that I can throw into the battle, and then maneuvers. So I can move the ship around the screen and choose who I want to attack. So on those big battles that you saw when we started playing, you can choose to move the ship around and attack whoever you want in whatever order you want. So there's that element of it, positional strategy. And then the rest of it is kind of when you choose to launch the attacks and who you launch them at. And they're all on cooldowns, those kind of boosts, so you have to sort of think before you dive headlong into it.
Yeah, so managing your cooldowns is a big aspect in these sort of games.
Exactly. So I've popped into here, and this gives us our current events list. I've already completed a bunch of these, and we're going to have a look at the enemy at the gates, which is... I've sent out a scout ship earlier. That ship's now discovered the Imperial Army's warship on the border of the star system, and apparently they're charging at me, which I take as an act of hostility. They might be coming in for a giant intergalactic hug, but I don't trust it, so I think...
You took that personally, James, then. You took that personally.
I'm already on the back foot here, so we're going to investigate, and we're going to see what the score is. So you can, if I zoom right out here, check it out. So this is the galaxy that we're dealing with its 2 suns, because, one sun just isn't enough, and this is us shooting across the galaxy to check this lot out. If they are friend, then we'll leave them alone, maybe. If they're not, then we'll definitely batter them, but we'll see which way it goes. Now then. They're investigating the scout point. In the meantime, I'm going to upgrade my embassy to level 1, because it does help if we can do a little bit of a communication with our allies, you see. Let's get a little bit Babylon 5 over here. Let's talk about... let's sit down, let's do the talking here. I get it now for free. Nice. Upgrade complete. Love it. So it's obviously walking you through, and I say I've been playing this for a couple of days on and off, and it's still doing the kind of guiding you through stuff because there's quite a lot going on. For example, here's the research center. I've been upgrading different aspects of this, so development and resources and whatnot here. I'm going to pimp the military. You can see I've already upgraded a few of these, and we're going to research the Kraken class destroyer because there's nothing that isn't terrifying about the word Kraken. I've been playing Sea of Thieves.
Space.
let me tell you, Kraken is a terrifying thing to come across. Right.
And can you imagine a Kraken in space?
Space Kraken? Well, I mean, I guess then we're heading into Cthulhu territory, the beginning of Hellboy and stuff like that. I like intergalactic cosmic horrors; they are entirely my jam. So, if you want to download this game, if you're watching this and thinking maybe this is the kind of thing I'm interested in, then you can download it for free on iPhone, iPad, or Android. And also, you can redeem a code, which will give you a whole bunch of in-game currency and resources and bits and bobs, the likes of which you can see at the top right-hand corner of my screen there. If you want to do that, download the game, head into Settings, you then go to Pack Exchange, and then you type Pocketgamer. All one word, all lowercase, and you will get this pack just gifted to you. Any of you watching can do this. So there's no gatekeeping here. So I can go right here, I can hit Settings, you can see Pack Exchange down here, and then you input the pack code. I'm not going to do that because you need to have started the account in the last 24 hours. So for those of you who are watching it right now, you'll be able to download the game and get going. I've been playing this for a while, so it doesn't apply to me. Clearly, they've decided I've got too many resources already, and I'm not allowed them, so I'm a bit put out. But
I'm definitely going to redeem the code later.
Yeah, you can redeem the code. You enjoy your free stuff. See if I care. But if you guys are interested, then I think we've just thrown some links into the chat there to get access to both the game and also those instructions on how to redeem the codes again. So if you are unsure, just check the chat. But basically, go to the Pack Exchange and type Pocket Gamer, all one word, all lowercase. That'll sort you out. Let's see what's happening now. The Imperial Army's commanders aren't dumb. They say, oh, they're doing the music. That's the one thing from playing the game. This bit of music, I'm quite into it. This is giving me one of the things about Mass Effect, and I will mention it more than once over the course of this stream because we're getting a remaster, and it's a game series I'm very fond of. The music in Mass Effect is so integral. That map screen soundtrack that cycles again and again and again. It takes a lot to make a piece of music that you don't get bored of when you've heard it 1,000 times. JRPGs are very good at that, having to create like the loop, the battle music, the kind of classic Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, and Kingdom Hearts and those sort of games, and it gets you pumped. Like it makes you feel like you could take on the world.
It really does, and it's very difficult, I think, to get that right because there's a fine line between catchy and incredibly annoying. My God, yes. And it's a razor's edge, and that little swell that they do there. I think they use it a bit in the trailer, but I really quite like it. I'm into it. I actually like this Two Suns business. It's a strong aesthetic. If I go in, they've got some nice swirly fire effects. Can you see that?
You can.
It's a strong.
I wonder if you go in the middle, you could be pulled apart by both their gravitational pulls.
That's a bleak prospect. I'm on a mission right now. I might circle back and see if we can tear our fleet to shreds. We're checking out this space mine zone at the minute. So for me, I can find these games a little bit daunting when I open them up because they do throw a lot at you. There's a lot of menus. There's a lot of different layers. There's a lot of stuff. And I quite like things that are streamlined. So I think the important aspect is to have good onboarding. They need to do it. They need to be walking you through. And even like days into the game, they're still directing me here and there to say, by the way, this and that, and this is how you do it.
Yeah, you've got to walk like a fight, strike a perfect balance between having too much or having a lot, but actually walking you through everything that's there, or just rather than just chucking everything at you. Compared to there's not a lot going on. Everything's all easy, but there's not really much in the game. And I think this game, from what I've seen anyways, it strikes that balance.
Yeah, some stuff can be very thin and there's nothing going on and there's no reason to check in. Whereas, the overwhelming stuff I find just a bit off-putting from the go. People say it now, and it's true even more so than it used to be, which is like the first maybe like 30 seconds, a minute of a game is so important because so many people, there's a billion options. A lot of the games are free, so they're entirely disposable to a lot of people. So people will just download it, play 30 seconds and go, nah, delete, and then move on to the next thing. So you've got to grab them quick, or there's maybe no chance for you to get any kind of foothold. Which is why it's impressive to me when you see very, very complicated games getting a massive player base very quickly. And it's like, what are they doing right? Because for a certain group of people, when you see that wall of menus appear, it's like, nope. I think people have a problem with board games as well, where what they call the teach, the bit at the beginning when you get a board game where it's like, someone has to sit down and read the rule book.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily the funnest bit. And it puts people off board gaming, which is a shame because there's so much good stuff to be had there and there's so many quality games. All right, it's all kicking off now. Look, the space scuffle. We've got into an absolute ruckus with another Imperial fleet.
Just lasers flying about everywhere.
It is. I'm zooming in for a closer look. Oh, we're trashing there. Shit, this is good stuff. Right, we're now moving on to the next one. We've picked a couple of fights at once here. This is the Empire's Counter-Strike. I'm into it. This is working out well.
Sounds like a perfect opportunity for a film.
Yep. Yeah, quite right. Avangronzia, I'm pronouncing that wrong, I'm sure, saying the map reminds me of Stellaris. I know what you mean. I think that's just popped up on the Game Pass, Stellaris, isn't it? One of those kind of exploration 4X games has appeared on there recently. Which also, incidentally, is available on mobile, the Game Pass. I've said it on the podcast and I was talking to you about it earlier.
Yeah.
Insofar as I've been playing Sea of Thieves, and I've been playing it with a group of 4 people. And one of us is on Xbox Series X, one is on Xbox Series S, One is on Windows 10, and the other one is entirely on mobile, using the Project xCloud streaming service. He doesn't have an Xbox. He doesn't have a PC with Windows on it. He's exclusively using it. And it works brilliantly. Like, surprisingly brilliantly. We don't get any kind of lag or dropout issues. I have more troubles, like, doing multiplayer setups on PC games, where we're all on PC, than I have when we're all on different platforms and one of us is on a mobile phone. I've been very, very, very impressed by it all. Have you had a go with any of the xCloud streaming on mobile?
I haven't, no. It's now that I've heard that sort of story, I may have to dabble in it.
I feel like it is... I mean, the problem is we had Stadia launch, which obviously we covered over on Pocket Gamer, because part of the principle of it is it's kind of this little tiny thing, and it's mobile in so much as you could use your Pixel phones in order to start playing it. And we're starting to bring the idea of smashing down the barriers between what is a console game or a PC game and a mobile game, and being like, look, you can stream it on any platform, anywhere, on any screen. The platform no longer matters. They're just access points. The phone is just a dumb screen, just like a monitor, and everyone can get involved. And Stadia didn't really work out. Like, straight out of the gate, it was a bit...
Yeah, it didn't have the best of launches, but...
No. They underwhelmed. They put a very high price point on it.
I know a few people will defend it to its death.
Really?
And no names. But
a bold position. Yeah, I find it very difficult to defend it at this point, because we've had the situation for a long time now where the games that they've released haven't been super impressive. There haven't been enough of them. You still have to pay for the games despite paying up front for the service. And Amazon shut down its own internal studio, or Stadia, sorry, shut down its own internal development studio, its first-party studio, before it even released one game. R.I.P. Stadia, says Nero Vingian in the chat, and yes, R.I.P. pouring one out for Stadia. Never even started really. Whereas xCloud came out of the gate and went, look, we're just doing a beta. Released it, and even the beta was like, here's 100 games, and you can play them all. And I was playing Halo within a second like this, and it worked. And I was like, this is so much easier. And if you've already got the other console, you can just carry on and pick up from where you left off. It gives you that real sense of truly transferable, portable play. And yeah, I'm
Did Stadia
sold.
have a beta?
Not really. This is what the problem with Stadia was, that it launched, and it was kind of obvious that it wasn't ready to go. The launch felt very beta. And if they'd said, look guys, this is just a beta, like, don't worry, we're trying some things out, I think people would have been a bit more understanding and sympathetic with it.
Yeah, because then at least you can sort of change the way you approach it. You got with a lot of these things, you got to approach, you got to get these key decisions early, right? Mm-hmm. But Stadia it didn't seem like they did.
Right. Yeah, it's a real shame, I think, because the idea is correct. The principle, i.e. we're all going to be streaming stuff in the future, is true, whether you or I like it or not. And I'm a man who likes physical media. I'm a person who is buying 4K Blu-rays. I think the only person who's buying 4K Blu-rays at this point, because I don't like it when streaming services suddenly take away the thing that I was watching. Yeah, I like to be able to, and I like them bit rates. I want them big fat bit rates for my Atmos, because I'm that guy. But I am aware that I'm a very small percentage of the consumer audience, and most people just want to press it, stream it, go. That's all they want. Just make the content happen in my face. Yeah. And for that reason, streaming's gonna be the thing, and I think for a lot of people they're gonna be upset by it, possibly. Right, we're smashing through the events here. I just want to check back on home base before we bail and make sure that everything is okay back home. Let me have a look at Spaceport. Let's go and check.
You've got a supporter in the physical media sort of world, I guess. So Darko JD, I see you.
Still preferring. Good. Yes, we are the few. We are the rare few. I'm going to use one of my speed up things on this, because I just want to get this module bolted on quick. Lovely, nice power boost there for my next fight. Yeah, I just think this is going to be the last generation. Just the 4K Blu-rays. This is the last time we're going to get physical media releases, because they're not selling. It's not working. Yeah. People just want streaming stuff. So if you want to ever own anything ever again, now's the time. Otherwise, you'll have missed the boat, I think. Yeah,
I think for games, I prefer having the physical copies. I've never really it never really mattered that much to me with films and TV shows. It is a lot easier when you're just streaming it, but for games, I prefer having that sort of physical copy.
Depends on the thing. Proper films, I want the bitrate, I want the sounds. This is a problem with being a video person, is you end up getting hung up on things like bit rates and the encoding of the audio, and you become aware of what lossy and lossless is, and you're like, and it turns you into one of these awful people who complains it's not the right bit rate, it's not the correct aspect ratio.
It's like you shake your fist at everything. You're like,
Sorry, yeah, it's a shame. Someone's saying I could use the boost for the giveaway. I can't. I'm not allowed. I'm locked out. It's a bummer. Right. I'm going to leave it there. Folks, if you want to see more about the game, of course, you can go over and download it from the either app store right now. Remember, if you do want to get those additional gifts and get a little jump start to your intergalactic campaign, then make sure you head over and redeem that Pocketgamer code. Again, the instructions are over there in the chat, and we'll probably drop them in there tomorrow just for good measure. And also, there's a little article pointing you towards us over. Look at that ship. Over on the pocketgamer.com site. So if you are interested, make sure you follow up. Right, I'm gonna get rid of this, put her to bed. There we go. We're going to move on to something else. So a little bit of a change of pace. We are going to move on and talk about Bloodstained, which is a game that came out late last year. Ritual of the Night is the suffix. It is effectively not a continuation, a spiritual successor, I guess, to the Castlevania games made by the original Castlevania creator. It was kickstarted, it came out on PS4s, it came out on Xboxes, it also came out on mobile, and there was an interview that was done with the creator, and it was only released like a day or so ago, I think, but we got sent the link directly, and we're going to play some of that stuff for you right now. If you want to see the whole thing, you can head over there to Pocket Gamer, and we will throw up the link for you. And it also gives information about basically how it came about, how the game was created, what his thoughts on it all was, and particularly about bringing it to mobile, which is of course our focus. So sit back and listen to the man himself talk.
Transmuting this time.
大きく一番違うところなんですが、操作です。コンシューマーってコントローラーがあるんですけども、スマホとどうしてもタッチパネルで操作しなきゃならないので、そこら辺の落とし込みっていうのがすごい大変だったですし、ここが多分ユーザーさんが一番違うとは思うんですけれども、ここがですね、ネットインさんすごいと思いますね。もう今まで培ってきた技術ですね、コンソールとですね、ほぼ同等の、コントロールを設定かなというふうに思っています。ただですね、中に入っているそのコンテンツ自体はですね、別にスマホ版だから劣化しているとかという理由ではなくて、オリジナルのコンソール版と同じような内容のものを遊ぶことができます。コンソール版とスマホ版で大きな違いというのは、コンソール版ではコントローラーがあって、スマホ版では液晶で触るというところで、そのボタンのその押した感覚とか、そのタッチする感覚とかっていうのがですね、やっぱりその体 体感的に大きく違ってくるんですね。で、そういうのがですね、そのまんまそのアクションゲームの爽快感につながっていくんですけれども、そこら辺をですね、これまでいろいろ経験されているので、この辺はですね、何回もやり取りしながら緻密に作り上げていったというところが、今回いろいろ困りながらも面白かったところかなというふうに思っています。はい、もともとゲームが好きで、コンシューマースマホ問わず、非常によく遊んでいるんですけれども、通勤の間に休憩中に、そして仕事中にみたいな感じでスマホゲームをちょこちょこ遊んでまして、最近だとパズルゲームとちょっとアクションっぽいゲームっていうのが一番多く遊んできています。スマホゲーム市場、やっぱり出てきて、まだ若い市場だとは思うんですが、もうすでに巨大な産業になってまして、市場的には大きくですね、我々がやってるコンシューマー業務がどんどん圧迫されていくわけなんですけれども、ただですね、我々としましては、弊社そんなに大きな会社ではないので、まずはコンソール事業の方にちょっと力を入れて、IP をしっかり熟成し、新しい IP を作ったりすることをやっていきたいなと思っています。とは言っても、スマホゲームしかやらないなんていうことを言ってるわけではなくてですね、もちろんやっていくような準備をしてはいるんですけれども、ただこのコンシューマーの方をしっかりやって、それがうまくいったときに、そこに対してもスマホ版が欲しいなという場合はですね、今回ネットゲームさんのように、評判が良くて実力のある会社と一緒にですね、手を組んでですね、いろいろやっていければいいかなというふうにも思います。ブラッドステインとビジュアル・ザ・ナイトというタイトルですね。去年発売されたタイトルなんですけれども、実はゲームの仕組みから言うと、もう数十年前からあるような仕組みで、言ってしまうと、オールドタイプのゲームなわけなんですけれども、なので、そういうそのオールドタイプのゲーム、私がゲームらしいゲームっていうのを触れてない人が結構多いと思うんですね。コンシューマーはちょっと敷居がだけど、スマホだったっていう人もいらっしゃると思うんですよ。で、我々のその理念として面白いものは今でも昔で面白かったものは今でも面白いっていう理念がありまして、で、その面白さっていうのをですね、スマホを通じて体験してもらえれば非常に嬉しいなというふうに思います。
How's about that then? Koji Igarashi himself, the creator of the original Castlevania, chatting about the game in question. I'm going to put up a little image here. There you go. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. So, that was something of his experience creating the game. If you've been following it since its inception, I think it was 2018, the Kickstarter was first announced and dropped. And obviously since then it's come out on consoles and mobiles and all that. So, mobile was the last platform it appeared on. We've obviously got coverage of it over on Pocketgamer if you are interested, and it's available from the app stores. The new announcement that we've got, in addition to the behind-the-scenes stuff there with Iga himself, is that it's getting the Zengetsu DLC on both iOS and Android. So when the game came out in December, it wasn't as fully spec'd as the console counterparts, and now we're going to be getting the full DLC as well. It's already had the Iga's Backpack DLC appearing. And if you're not familiar with the game, Zangetsu was a playable character in the earlier Bloodstained Curse of the Moon game and became a boss and NPC in Ritual of the Night. And this Zangetsu mode DLC basically makes him a playable character again. So it brings him back into the fold. They've got some info on what he's all about. Demon Hunter by trade and lost his left eye and his right arm and created a prosthetic arm out of something that he functions as a special Ofuda spell. He's had a rough time, is what I'm hearing from all of this, Charlie.
Sounds like the best thing you should do when you lose your arm is just create a prosthetic one out of some sort of blood magic or something.
Yeah, it's magic is what I'm looking for here. As long as it can launch something at someone else, I'm in. That's fine. So these DLCs add like different play modes as well, 3 free play modes as well as the new boss 2. I think all the new DLC is free as like part of the course because it is a premium game. You do pay upfront from it. This is not free to play business on any platform. Like I say, we've covered it more over on PG. And are you I was going to say Castlevania fan, Metroidvania fan, any of that genre where you are either side-scrolling while opening up a map and backtracking on yourself?
Unfortunately, no. I've never really, it never really grabbed me that much. But one thing I would say about this game is like I'm really a fan of like the retro music.
Yes.
Yeah, the soundtrack is what's making me go, oh, like this looks really fun.
Well, they've added a full retro mode. A little bit. I added it into the interview there. You saw a little bit of it where it turns it into a proper like old-fashioned looking-ish 16-bit style platformer, like in the olden times.
The olden times.
Yeah, I do like these games. I was never like a Nintendo kid. I didn't have one, couldn't afford one, so it was a case of watching other people's. But subsequent games have started to bring that kind of gameplay more into the fold, and I'm speaking specifically about that backtracking across a large 2D map and opening up bits and revisiting. I think the most recent ones are, what's the extremely cute stuff on Xbox Live where you're a little white character, big ears, Ori and the
Ori in there. Yeah,
I've been playing Ori on Game Pass. That is very much like, you know, Castlevania is very much sitting there in the background in that game in a good way.
Yeah.
And I find that quite satisfying, the gradual unlocking, the approaching something and realizing you can't jump up that high and going, maybe later. And then like 2 hours later, you get the double jump and you're like, wait a minute, back, get back there.
Yeah.
And suddenly it all opens up and it gives you a real sense of satisfaction and progression, I find. So I'm all about it.
It's like that sort of a Shovel Knight sort of vibe as well, and
yes.
Celeste. If you've played Celeste,
I haven't played Celeste, but I know that's another one of those that people have really latched onto in a big. That's another one with a great soundtrack as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you want to find out more about that Bloodstained DLC or just the game in general, head over to pocketgamer.com, and we've got lots and lots of coverage for it, plus links to download it if you are that way inclined. Right, I think we can sneak in a quick something new before we chat about some good racing games. So let's go. This is a quickie. Quest-like then. Let me drop the Bloodstained for a moment and bring up the new one. So, small, lo-fi dungeon crawling RPG type deal. This was released on Steam back in March 2018, but will be coming to Android. And you can pre-register over on Google Play if you want to get stuck in. The thing that makes this slightly different is that it's rhythm-based. So you have to attack to a pulse, to a rhythm. I've seen a few of these pop up as well. What's that really good Zelda crossover where it was all about jumping between tiles to the music?
Oh, I can't remember that. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, I'm going to resist Googling it, and people can scream at me in the chat. But that like captured my imagination, and bringing rhythm into combat games in a way that isn't just like, for example, like a straight music game like a Guitar Hero or something like that. Folding it into battle mechanics, I can find quite satisfying. Obviously, as you saw there, it's kind of a very Cadence of Hyrule. Nice one. I think that's probably at least one of them. Good catch, Dove. That is a nice way of getting the attention of people who maybe wouldn't be as interested in the genre. When you can find those bridges, those crossover between, it's like it's an action RPG, and people go, but it's got music. and you tap in time and you're like, maybe. So it's a good way of getting people involved. As you saw from the trailer, it's very lo-fi. It's a sort of small scale production and everything, but we cover, as I say, everything from fancy AAA stuff to smaller single lone developers doing bits and pieces as well here. So the game's currently in open beta through Test Fairy, which is a platform that you can sign up for, and it also gives you all the patch notes and everything if you're curious about that sort of thing. But if you just want to wait and see how it looks when it appears on Google Play, you can pre-register there over on the Google Play app itself. So Questline is the name of that one. We're going to jump over now. This is something that we've put together ourselves. If you follow us on our YouTube channel, this is kind of an example of the sort of things that we do over on the Pocket Gamers YouTube channel. And because we're trying to look for the positive in what's been a very testing couple of years, we're drawing up lists of the best stuff that we can find. And in this case, we're going to show you one of our racing game lists here. This is our favorite, and this is not time-based, our favorite racing games on mobile, full stop. So old things, new things, doesn't matter. This is a great list. I went and played pretty much everything on this list, plus a whole bunch of others, just to make sure. And there must be something in here you'll like. So sit back and peep some good tire-burning stuff. Here we go. The top 10 best racers on mobile. Were you, like us, a bit disappointed by Mario Kart Tour's score-chasing gacha mechanics, lack of multiplayer at launch, premium subscription service to get the interesting leagues and all of that? Well, bizarre though it sounds, we think Kart Rider Rush Plus succeeds where Mario Kart fails. It's got a story mode, dozens of karts and drivers, online multiplayer, independent steering and drifting, bosses, challenge modes, item mastery. It's got problems, it's still a gacha game at heart, and the menus are unnecessarily obtuse and overwhelming, but the lobbies are full, the matchmaking is reliable, and when it comes to karting on mobile, this one's probably our favourite. Wheel Racing 3 is the racing game that divided Pocket Gamer staff down the middle. On the one hand, it still looks decent to this day, remains technically impressive despite being released in 2013, and is one of the most accomplished long-form racers on mobile. On the other hand, it marks the moment the Wheel Racing series shifted from premium to free-to-play, and we'd argue that its success played a big part in changing the mobile gaming landscape forever. It's perhaps historically one of the most important games on this list, and though not as shiny as modern competitors, still worth investigating years and years later. You may not have even heard of Data Wing, so let's correct this error. It's not only a stylish retro racer that's 100% free with no IAPs, it's also one of the smartest, most narratively adventurous single-player campaigns ever seen in the racing genre. You're effectively hacking a computer system at the behest of a mysterious AI, with each track representing a node needing to be unlocked. You're encouraged to swing your craft close to the edge of the track so your thruster can propel you forward, and the rules of each level change with different goals, altered gravity, and even track orientation, to the point where you'll find yourself racing vertically instead of horizontally. We won't spoil any more, but boosting off the edges of the track feels fantastic, and this was one of the best games of 2017, so do yourself a favour. Horizon Chase enthusiastically subscribes to Sega's Outrun vision of arcade racing. Actual physics and serious simulation are nowhere to be seen. This one is about style and nostalgia and drifting around endless corners while polyagonal smoke screams from your tyres and identical lollipop trees whiz past. But don't mistake the retro flavour for crudity. There's a nice long campaign, weather conditions change mid-race as you burn through a wide variety of locations, and the 60 FPS smoothness never stutters. Kick back, relax, and let the road take you away from this awful, awful place. Another oldie, 2016's Gear Club is a technically impressive, content-packed racing game from a company with genuine console pedigree. Forget about the nowhere near as good Switch port. This original mobile version fits form and factor far better. It features races that go on far longer than some of the others on this list, an upgradable garage waiting to be filled with real cars, and authentic hardware. Like CSR Racing, it's aimed at petrol heads who want to be able to open up car doors and look under the bonnets of their rides. There's the usual free-to-play escalation, but lots of fun to be had before the wall appears. So imagine Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, only instead of being tied to a track, you are bombing around open world levels, kiting police cars into buildings and screeching away from the wreckage in glee. This is Pga 2, and it's all about sweet wheel skills and carnage. There's a dose of crazy taxi at play as well. You're picking up criminals and dropping them off at their destinations, evading the cops along the way. Your average run will be brutally short as you come a cropper at the hands of the fuzz, but you'll immediately hit restart and dive back in. That's why this one is arcade gold. A simple loop that's exhilarating and immediate, and also there are cool jumps and explosions, and I'll just get on it. Hutch Games turns its attention to the pure 3D arcade racer in Rebel Racing, with impressive results. Again, it's a campaign-driven racer filled with real-life automobiles to collect and customize. This time though, the events that pop up on the map are usually quick burst affairs, a 30-second challenge or short race you can complete without bringing your life to a grinding halt. That's not to say it's shallow, we'd describe it as streamlined, the trappings of road racing without the tedious busywork. It's free to play, so expect the usual currency business, but it's managed to stay at the top 20 in the App Store for 2 years for a reason, so maybe take a peek. Reckless Racing 3 revels in the slidey delights that come from removing friction from the physics equation altogether. A top-down arcade racer in the mold of the original Micro Machines games, this is a good old-fashioned drift fest which insists you lean into the skid to get to pole position. You got simple controls that work on touchscreen, a bunch of different vehicles and courses to collect and master, and the warm familiarity of a genre of racing often forgotten in the post-Forza world. Accessible and immediate and good clean fun. Grid Autosport is probably still to this day the best pure racing game on mobile. This is a premium console racer experience with a premium price tag, and the content to back it up. We're talking real cars, real tracks, great visuals, controller support, and free updates. While other racers offer shorter, sharper arcade thrills, Grid Autosport is a little bit more demanding, asking you to master a bunch of different racing disciplines and vehicles. The handling is also more aggressive and unforgiving, but the reward is full throttle, edge of your seat racing. If you consider yourself a racing game fan and find some of the free-to-play offers a little frustrating or thin, this might be the one for you. Physics, gravity, these basic natural laws are quaint, outdated notions to Asphalt 9, a ridiculously OTT arcade racer designed purely to make you grin like an idiot. The car manufacturers may be real, but the first time you clip a ramp and pirouette 360 through the air to land on the other side of a massive chasm, you'll realise that the rest of reality has taken a backseat. And that's just fine, because Asphalt 9 is good at what it does. Once you've turned the lane switching swipe controls off, the sense of speed, satisfying collisions, and glorious visuals make it difficult not to have a good time. It's all colour and neon blur and kinetic thrill. As always, the free-to-play system will bug some more than others, but the elastic handling is great and the nitrous boosting is electric, and yes, I wish a bunch of the free-to-play stuff would just go away, but it's a really good racer. We can't lie, it's good. Those are our 10 favourite racers on mobile. Stick your favourites in the comments. Make sure to hit that subscribe button to get more mobile news, reviews and recommendations, and we'll see you next time. In case you were at all wondering what our Twitter handles and Facebook page look like, there's the handles at the end there. Yeah. Racing games. Racing games are fun. We enjoy them. Those are 10 of our favourites. That's the kind of thing that we do over on the Pocketgamer YouTube channel. If you're watching it right now, maybe you're already subscribed, in which case, cool. Thank you. You're the best. If you're over on Twitch and maybe you've seen something that you like and you want those kind of recommendations, then maybe just go over. It's just Pocketgamer in the YouTube thing and you can ring bells. I understand bells are involved with YouTube these days. notifications and all that kind of business. So yeah, get involved. We'd love to have you. We're putting stuff up all the time, and it's a good laugh. Also, those lists are mirrored on Pocketgamer.com. So if you're a reader and not a watcher, then go over there and you'll get all. We got too many of these lists. Frankly, it gets a little bit daunting. Do you do the racing in a mobile capacity, or have you gone? Put it this way: have you ever, at any point in your life, owned one of them wheels?
Yes, back at when Mario Kart Wii, I'd say that's when I
Really?
had one of those wheels. That was probably the last time.
Are we counting that as a wheel? Because it's not really. It's just a little plastic clip that you put a Wiimote in.
We did have I think it was Forza. Well, we had a wheel back then, like a proper wheel.
Okay.
Which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Darb is saying that doesn't count at all.
I count it. It's a wheel, isn't it? Not.
Yeah.
But yes, I did.
You've had to do the thing where it's balanced, a real steering wheel, and then you get the pedals.
Yeah,
on the floor,
no, of course, yeah.
I know someone who is so serious about Elite that he's got the sort of the HOTAS setup, so he's got the two sticks, but he's also got the throttle pedals with the paddles, so you can like do the yaw left and right like you're in a helicopter. It's serious business, Elite.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that sort of create those simulator sort of like either whether it's flight controls or racing, and that's a lot of money to sink into it. But all I can say is fair enough.
So you're heading into second job territory with all of that. You're veering dangerously into like EVE Online. But yeah, so if you want to go and check out other lists, other bits and pieces, make sure you're sub to both the Pocketgamer channel on YouTube and the site itself. Now let's have a quick look at something else that's got some new things coming in. Badland is there, a game that is currently available over on both Android and iOS, I believe. There is a new map in the works. As you gathered from the trailer there, you probably saw survival shooty bang game, like we were talking about not so long ago. It's the default genre now. But usually what you're doing is wandering around an urban sprawl here. This new map that they're cooking up is taking place in a desert, much more open, stranded boats sitting there where rivers have fallen away and revealed the carcasses of abandoned ships and whatnot. You got like railroad tracks, campsites dotted around the place. But in addition to the areas, you've also got new weaponry and things as well. So 5 new weapons and 3 new attachments. So we're talking rifles, sniper rifles, light machine guns. I don't see any talk of a golden Uzi here, or a pink one. Sorry, Charlie.
Damn it!
Submachine guns as well. And the attachments add additional attributes to the weapon enhancement. Get a scope or get a silencer, or we all kind of know how these things work at this point, don't we? The other thing that they're adding is a night and day system, because we've got to have that sun rising and setting, and then everything going to nighttime, which isn't just an aesthetic in the case of this one. It will make it easier for you to, for example, stealth and sneak around at night than it is during the day. So there is physical, like, in-game benefits to that kind of thing. As I mentioned, I've been playing a lot of Sea of Thieves recently, and the day-night cycle on that game is incredible. It does have an effect on gameplay because it is slightly trickier to see things at night, but also like you've got lanterns on the ship and you can turn the lanterns off so that you can sort of sneak along at nighttime without being so easily spotted. And I like that little aspect of it just cycling around in the background. I think it was when did GTA bring it in? I feel like that's the first time I noticed a proper day-night cycle. It would have been around about like 3 or 4, maybe 4 did it.
I think 4, yeah. I think before they did have a sort of day and night cycle, but I feel like that was dependent on the missions that you selected.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm thinking of Majora's Mask now because of that like 3-day thing. but
yeah.
I can't remember if it goes to nighttime. Anyway, I'm getting hung up on the time of day. We've got people downloading it on their iPhone at this very minute because they clearly like a bit of survival business. But iOS and Android right now, Badland is the name. If you want another one of these games, if you're one of these people who plays them all, checks them out, compares them, maybe this is the thing for you. Now, this is going to be blink and you miss it. We got sent this today in under the wire, and we're like, you know what, we're going to show it because it looks nuts. Here we go. The sting was longer than the trailer. Yeah, Daisy's Revenge is the name of that one. I don't even know if I've got a picture of this. We were sent it so late. No, we haven't, so we're going for a 2-shot. Yeah, this is a shooter in the Duck Hunt mold. So, you know, you're stationary and you're moving around and trying to blow up ravens in what looks like a smashed up carnival by a grave site. I'm not really sure. But some folks contacted us and were just like, could we throw it in there? We're like, yes, why not? This looks insane. You have to say shoot ravens. It is a carnival in the ruins of an old church. That's what the blurb says officially. There you go. But it just made me think of Duck Hunt from back in the Nintendo times. The other thing that was pointed out to me as well by one of our folks, Steve, is that if you go and look at the site, actually you had the rocking soundtrack there. It is powered by, like, inspired by the music of one of these power rock. You know, like, not Queens of the Stone Age. Who did they get together with and made a super group? What are they called?
I think someone will tell us in the comments. Someone's bound to, because I'm stumped.
So yeah, it's one of these things where, you know how bands get together and like one member of each and they'll form a super group and people get very excited, and generally the music is not as good as the individual groups together. I'm just saying. It's one of those, and I think they're an Australian supergroup, but they've got people from Guns N' Roses and stuff like that all thrown together, and them Crooked Vultures, that's what the supergroup that came off the back of the thing. Yeah, that's right. Good call, Steve. So this Daisy's Revenge has been inspired by music from that. So expect rock, expect the death of black winged birds, if that's your bag.
I'm not gonna lie, when that was sent in to us, I thought it was to do with Mario's Daisy.
Yeah, well,
Daisy's Revenge.
That is the spin-off that we're all waiting for. I'm sick of playing as Mario or Luigi or even Wario. Give me Daisy's Revenge. Give me Princess Peach with a sawn-off shotgun, finally sticking it to Bowser, because you know she must be getting quite sick of being abducted at this point. I think it's time to take the power back. Turtle soup. That's basically what I'm saying. So. We're going to take a break from our trailer program. We've got hands-on with a game that hasn't yet been revealed yet to round out the show, plus a very exciting thing to do, the very big IP and the BBC. But first, PGAs! We've got the Pocketgamer Awards 2021. They are still open, and you should go and vote for them. So, this is a 3-stage event that we run every single year. The first stage of which is nominations. We go in there and we speak to a bunch of experts and panels across the mobile gaming world, and we whittle the sheer volume of games down to a sensible group which you can vote on. We then go to stage 2, which is what we're currently in, which is you get to vote. People. You will find a link in the chat right now, which has been posted in there by Darth, PocketgamerAwards.com, and you can go over there and cast your vote in what is well more than 20 different categories. And have your voice heard. We've had tens of thousands of votes at this point, and we're still not even there yet. The voting is open until March the 3rd. So I think it's next Wednesday you've got until.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, to go and get your voice heard. So get over there. This is something we do weekly. We'll do a big announcement streamery thing where we show you the winners and hand out the awards and whatnot. Usually we try and do these things in person when we're doing our Pocket Gamer Connect conferences, but obviously the past year and a half has just been, it's been what it's been. So everything is digital now forever, just like our conferences. By the way, a couple of weeks ago, we had Pocket Gamer Connect number 5, I believe it was, which is the 5th installment of our online-only digital shows that we've been doing. This is the stuff that's designed for people who are interested in participating in the games industry, whether from the point of view of development or publishing, or whether you're a financier and you're looking to fund games, or anything about the making of mobile games. It is a show that's all about connecting people and making sure you can have meetings with the people that you need to meet to get either your game made or financed or find the people you need to work on your game. But equally, it's a whole bunch of workshops and talks that we have from industry experts, which just basically sit there and seminars, 2 tracks a day at least of sort of non-stop information from basically the people who've been in this since the beginning. And it's quite a thing. We've done them in physical form for years now, and the digital ones are as good and in some ways great because they're just available to more people. You know, that ability, people who maybe couldn't travel, you can just
eliminates that travel barrier.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we've got one coming up in the very not too distant future. So do get involved with that. But as for the Pga Awards themselves, the link is right there in the chat. Go over and vote and you can have your voice heard, and we will let you know when the announcements are ready to go. So the winners should be coming out on the 16th of March. And that I imagine there'll be some kind of streamery thing involved that I probably have to set up. I'll look into that. I should probably have looked into that, shouldn't I? Anyway, let us carry on with the show. So we're going to move on to something else. We are going to be talking about Doctor Who, folks. We've got a big exclusive here. So we're going to introduce you to Doctor Who Lonely Assassins. It's a game that's coming to iOS and Android on March 19th. And I'm not going to say any more yet. We're going to move over and have one of the developers of the game walk you through it, along with gameplay footage that is exclusive, plus some trilogy trailer stuff before and after as well. So, Doctor Who Lonely Assassins. Here we go.
It's them, Sal. I know it.
Lawrence, at last. This isn't Lawrence, which means Lawrence is still missing. You're the right person for the job. The job being, find Lawrence.
Petronella goes to Hella.
Hi, my name is Jeremy. I'm from Kaigan Games. I'm the game designer for this project, and I want to run through a few scenes with you guys to basically break down our design process for developing this Doctor Who, The Lonely Assassins mobile game. Alright, so let's just get started. So this is the intro for the game, and we actually looked at a few versions of the openings of the show, and we sort of decided like a very short, very quick introduction to sort of get the players in right away. So right now we are getting into the first sequence, which is this phone unlocking thing. As we all know, when you turn on someone's phone, there's an unlocking sequence. But once you try to unlock it, there's this self-destruct sequence, because we want the players to get really invested in the game really quickly, and we added this self-destruct sequence because it builds that agency, it builds that sort of that intensity very early on, and it sort of introduces this element of that, hey, the phone has technologies that you would not expect in the real world, like for example it getting hijacked right away by Osgood, and you immediately turning off the self-destruct sequence. So there's this override sequence to sort of get you build the expectation that, hey, somebody is helping you out throughout this journey. And right here you can see Osgood calling you. So again, in found games, it's very important to set the premise, because unlike other games, the found game is very limited to what you see on the screen here, and we want to make sure that everything that you need to expect is put up very early on. So Osgood calls you to sort of explain all this, what is the premise, who you're talking to, whose phone is this in that sense. Yep. One thing I would also like to add on here is that the UI element. There's a very fine balance to making like this fictional phone UI. That you can sort of interact and play with. I think normally when you see UI on phones or in movies and TV, is that they're built very practically to show the audience what's going on. And right now you can interact with it. So we need to use real elements of how phones are designed to combine with the Doctor Who elements, and also to combine with the fact that we want to make sure that this is not a real phone. Like you're playing a game still at the end of the day, and we don't want you to be confused that we don't want to confuse this phone UI with your own personal phone UI. That's why you can see all these UI elements here. We want to make sure that it is unique enough that it stands out, but it's also not so far-fetched that you will not believe that this is a phone, you know? Like where all the icons are placed and everything. We have a discussion here with Osgood, a very short conversation. For the dialogue, when we build this game, is that we want that sort of chat messages kind of feel that pacing of I send something, she sends something back, that quick reply. We don't want the dialogues to be too draggy, so that's why we build it like this, to make sure that the player can go on with their own pace. So like, for example, if a fast reader can just skip through pretty much right away, but also maintain that conversational kind of feel. But at the same time, if you want to take time and read through what Osgood is telling you, or maybe any other character is telling you, you can take your time as well. Having this sort of pacing really sells you the world, sells you the characters, and also, if you're a fast reader, if you really want to get through the game itself, you can just skip right ahead. So she's kind of explaining how to play the game, and what do you expect to do throughout this whole game as well. So right here you can see that we are going into the browser, and as you can see, there's something weird here, and there's a little icon that changes. So you see, right now what you're doing is you're tapping and hovering over this element of the phone here. I don't want to spoil too much, but this is actually building up to a very unique sequence in the middle of the game. And you see there's this clue that you can find. Again, we introduced early on that Osgood is hacking through the phone, and she sort of hijacked the phone to give this phone a very unique feature for you to sort of investigate. So you can scan stuff, you can find clues, and you can store them and basically use those clues to figure out this mystery. Something that we also draw inspiration from the show itself is that the scanning sequence has this sort of sonic screwdriver feel, if this waving around and finding things. Yep. Now it comes to the live video element parts. I think for a found phone game, the live video elements plays a very important role, because it adds that realism. It adds that it really blurs the line between show, game, and real life. So it just gives that level of immersion that you will not have from watching a show or even playing like a fully simulated 3D game. Thank you so much for joining me on this preview of Doctor Who: The Lonely Assassins. I cannot wait for you guys to play it. See you!
Doctor Who: Lonely Assassins. Be braced, everyone. I'm going to put up a scary picture. Oh, it's the angels that everybody's afraid of. Oh my god, don't look at them. Or do look at them. I forget which way around it is. You have to look at them. That's the one I remember from way back when. So yeah, that's your first exclusive look that anyone's had of the new game, Doctor Who: Lonely Assassins. This is going to be March the 19th on both iOS and Android. As you can gather from what we saw, it's very much connected to Blink, which is the episode that the Terrifying Angels came from back in 2005. Yeah, Jeremy went through most of what it's all about. I haven't played it yet. We're basing this purely on the current in development info. And if you want to follow more about it, then obviously keep your eyes on Pocketgamer, because we're going to be keeping our eyes on it also. The type of game, that genre, I remember the first time I played one of those, i.e. a found phone game. So rather than like a found footage movie where it's like, oh, we found some reels of a film, here they are. That idea that like you've discovered someone else's phone and it is an alien UI and you're just like browsing through other people's stuff. It was a really nice setup, and a few of them have been done very well. And there's a weird crossover there between a kind of, I guess it's like voyeurism, do you think? Where it's like rooting through someone else's stuff that you probably shouldn't be, because phones are supposed to be private things. But there's something really interesting where you're trying to piece together a story, often not in real time. You're backtracking through messages and looking through files, trying to connect conversations and work out what the hell happened. And a couple of them really got me. In fact, there's I'm sure some of them are reviewed. I think Another Person's Phone, or it had a long 4-word title. Either way, interesting, and I like they've applied it to Doctor Who. They've also done ones where you're doing a lot of messaging, like real-time messaging with other people. There was a very good one, I think, called Stranded, where you're on Mars or the moon or something like that. That worked really well. And also recently, there's been a really interesting one called Hollow Vista, which takes it's like a hidden object game with AR, where you're moving around and you're in these locations trying to find objects and images. But then someone text messages you and you realize it's your sister and you start chatting to them about stuff and it's about a job interview. And so you think it's one game and it turns out to be another. This is all mobile, by the way, and it's genuinely brilliant. Like Hollow Vista is one of the most interesting games from last year. We've got a playthrough. Jupiter had you to play through over on the YouTube channel, so definitely go and check that out. Yeah, so I'm interested to see whether this one can live up to the forebears. I assume you haven't stolen anyone's phone and rooted through it, Charlie?
No, I haven't. I know a few people have stolen my phone and looked through it, but nothing dodgy on there, I promise. But
you didn't need to say that, but now you've said that. That is.
I've just outed myself, haven't I? But yeah, no, it's an interesting concept, and it'll be really interesting to see how Doctor Who, The Lonely Assassins, tackles this new. I wouldn't say new, but I'd say niche way of playing.
Yeah, pre-existing genre. I think they've had it around for a little while, but yeah.
And I remember when that episode was aired. Blink. And I was scared because I can't remember how old I was. I was a kid, obviously, and then it just scared the living daylights out of me. So
it was one of the good ones. So
it was an amazing episode. But,
we'll very much keep our eyes on that one. So Lonely Assassins, check back with Pocket Gamer, and we'll give you more information as and when we have it. Now we're heading into the final half hour of the stream here. Before we move on to our next topic, we're going to say that we're going to be back again. This is only the halfway point. Tomorrow we'll be back at 5 p.m. UK time here on Twitch and on YouTube with a whole bunch more exclusives, trailers, gameplay, and all the other stuff that I suppose you have to come to expect from this now. And the idea is hopefully we're going to continue to do these going forward at regular intervals when there is cool stuff to show and to announce. Cool stuff like Necromunda Gang Skirmish. Get rid of this and get this on. Here we go. It's getting serious, folks. We're going into Warhammer territory. Necromunda Gang Skirmish is the name of this one. And how familiar are you with the world and indeed extended universes of Warhammer, Charlie?
Not that much, I'm afraid.
Okay. If I said Warhammer 40k, would you know what that was?
Could you repeat that? Sorry.
Warhammer 40k.
Nope.
Ooh, right. Okay, so you properly are not in any way in touch with any of this.
Not at all, I'm afraid.
Well, okay. So tabletop figurine-based war gaming is what we're dealing with here. I guess it was started in the 80s. I'm pretty sure that's where it came from. Games Workshop being the origin. And we had Warhammer, which was your fantasy stuff. That would probably be the one that you would play. Charlie, being as you like your goblins and your orcs and your elves and all that business. Warhammer 40k was the sci-fi version of it, so then you start to call it Space Marines and your Eldar and your Nurgle. I think Nurgle's in standard Warhammer as well. Chaos Marines, all that business. And then you started getting like other spin-offs as well. So you had Hero Quest, which is like a tabletop-based game. You had Space Hulk, which was the sci-fi version of it, going around killing gene stealers in small corridors. All of this is cardboard, and it's what used to be lead figurines, but what is now plastic, because lead is not good for you. It's very expensive as well. And, putting all the armies together and meeting up with your friends and then battling out. I was as much interested in the painting aspect of it, because, the figures turn up and you're supposed to paint them. That, to me, was the bit I was interested in more than the wargaming. I don't think I have the big strategic mind, the strategic brain you need to do all that stuff properly.
You're not a commander, then?
Not at heart. I think I'm more interested... It's like the same thing with Civ. Civilization doesn't do a great deal for me.
Really?
No, because it's just like... all those games to me feel like... I'm not that into world domination, particularly. So, not in my gaming life, anyway. I stick to... that's more of a professional goal. But the actual, sitting there and having the big countries on the screen and moving your armies around, I find it a little bit like detached. I don't know. There's something about those games that never clicked. But it's clearly my era because they're huge and everyone loves them to pieces. So for people like me who maybe find the huge scale intimidating, these little splinter games where you zoom down to a slightly more macro level and you're looking at like maybe just a squad of 8 people instead of an army of 100. That's what stuff like this is. So Necromunda was a spin-off from the Warhammer universe, which wound up dealing with gang warfare. So it's almost kind of like a Mad Max-ish. You're out on the streets, there are broken down buildings everywhere, and you're dealing with gang warfare. Small groups of squaddies and whatnot who are all pitting themselves one against the other. And this is what Gang Skirmish is all about. So this is currently in development. It's going to be released on iOS and Android when it is. The idea is you take control of your own gang. It starts with a selection of about, I think, 4 you have access to at the beginning, but you choose one, and then you work them up the ranks, gaining reputation, power, and all of that by participating in these multiplayer matches where you fend your gang off against the other. It's done in a strategy style form, so think of your kind of almost... When I played it, I almost thought of like XCOM in the way that you move characters around. There isn't a release date set for it yet, but we do have the game itself to play. There we go, lovely. So this is Gang Skirmish. They sent us over a little preview build, so we've been able to have a little lark about with it. I'm gonna continue. There we are. I've only been playing it for a little bit because I had to fire it up to make sure it was working and everything. But I'm going to engage in a patrol. So the way that the game works out is that you've got like outlaws, bounty hunters, thieves, gunslingers, all manner of other unpleasantries. And you go through cycles. One cycle inside your gang base, the hive, which is located underneath the city. I think you do selecty upkeepy bits, and then you go out and do actual battles. So here is what a battle looks like. Did you play XCOM, for example, Charlie?
Nope. I feel like the worst person to talk to about this sort of stuff.
Have you played games, Charlie?
Yeah, I have played games. But,
awesome.
No,
that's okay,
I'm afraid not.
So, you can see here, I'm dealing with a small squad, only 4 people at the minute. They've gone for this cartoony art style, keeping everything quite like, bright, colourful, nice thick outlines. And the idea is I can tap anywhere on the screen and it will show me where I can move to. The little silhouette of a person shows me the furthest distance I can travel. I can still point over here in the distance, but I won't be able to get there. And when you place your troops around the battlefield, you need to take into account things like cover and whatnot. So if I stick my guy, I'm going to pop him out there, go. I'm going to hit the boots icon, that'll send my dude charging forward. They are now hidden because I have placed them behind a little bit of scenery there, just a little wall. And that means that when the next round comes and perhaps the enemies appear, they will stand a lesser chance of getting hit. Think about that cover mechanic that they have in things like XCOM. I'm going to send some more folks out. I haven't spotted any of my enemies. I think they're in hiding at the moment. Now, it's giving me some tutorial business along the way. So, for example, select the Overwatch Action to shoot on enemies when they move into range. Classic XCOM. So I'm going to hit that Overwatch button right there, put him into Overwatch. And I think I want to take this... I want to take Cabal, take him out, back up the fellas, here we go. He's going to sprint out. Once I've completed all my movements, we are now into turnover, and the enemies are going to make themselves known. They are behind the door. They're in that room. And they're shouting at me as well. I'm not having
So it's like each tile that you move to has its own sort of benefit. You got your hidden tiles, for example, like you said. And it really... I'd say the positioning of where you put your units is key in these sort of fights.
Yeah, so positional strategy is always the thing with these. Yeah, you need to place the right people in the right place at the right time with the right weapons. So at the moment they're introducing the fact that like when people get shot at, they actually hit the deck. You saw Matey there is currently cowering on the floor, so that's his defensive maneuver. And that means they are currently pinned, so I need to spend an action point to get the dude to stand up again. So I'm going to hit Sargon here, and he now pops up. And then I can look at either moving or maybe trying to attack somebody. I don't think anybody... See, my movement's been restricted as a result of doing that. I can sit here and put up my guard mode, which means that the next time someone attacks, I get a defensive bonus. So I'm going to go for the guard mode in this instance. And I'm going to try and send my other dude... Because this guy's got a nice hairdo. I'm approving of this guy's mohawk. Look at that, that's glorious. But he's also got a gun, and I am feared. So I'm going to send this guy around the back. This may be completely pointless, but I'm going to do it anyway. Let's go over here. I'm going to do a kind of flanking maneuver and see if it results in anything. Why not?
If it works out, then you can call yourself the biggest tactical genius ever.
That's right. That's what I'm hoping for. And we'll ignore when it goes completely wrong. So I'm going to pop this guy behind cover as well. So if I stick in behind this notch... There we are. Lovely. If I want to, they're saying I can skip a gangster's turn. I mean, I guess I'll do that because they clearly want me to. Right, here we go. That's one of the enemies moving. I have taken damage and I'm now stunned. I object to this massively. Handily, that's the only person. Now, this guy is all about his melee, so I really kind of want to get stuck in and batter him. So here we go. I can now move over and hit the fist icon and bosh. Taking one straight in the prong of his Mohican. That's where I batter, folks. Now this guy, we're back onto my other dude, so he's not been spotted. There's no problem here. I can keep him running around. I think maybe that flanking maneuver might work out. We'll see. Now, if you're interested in downloading this, like I say, this isn't currently available. They've given us a preview build of the game, so we should also state that this isn't how it's going to look when it's finished. There is currently placeholder stuff in here as well, but we wanted to give you an early look as soon as we could. I'm going to put this guy... I've made him prone. I meant to run, but I made him prone. Ah, well. Get up again.
Oh, you hate to see it. You hate to see it.
That's not tactical genius. He lay down, and then he got up again, and that was his turn. Unfortunately, my guy's just been poisoned. He's taken an absolute... Oh, an absolute battering. And down! Out of action! Running up to his face was only halfway.
Oh no.
Halfway useful. Luckily I've got that guy behind, so all is not lost. However, I can't quite get far enough up to attack yet. I can only go... I need to get them up because they were currently cowering. Right, here's where the rear guard maneuver comes into play. I'm going to pop my person down here. Go! Long shot's going to sneak round the corner. We're going to see if we can flank this guy.
You're going to snipe him from the shadows.
Maybe. We're too far away to get this guy. I need to check out where the wall is, because it's only that little small bit there. I want to get in range so I can start shooting without completely exposing myself. If I move over here, is that going to... I guess I'll go into there. It gives me partial cover, not enough. But I'm hoping I can get stuck in the next turn. Oh, they've opted to reload. And now I'm taking damage again, and I'm stunned. This guy's in a bad position. I think I mistakenly thought that these offered some protection, when in fact they don't. This hasn't worked out at all. How about you move? I can only move a fraction left or right. Might as well move for no reason. Crawl along the floor, that's it!
Edging ever so closely.
I love it. Okay, so I've got a whole bunch of options over here. I can put people into Overwatch. I really want to shoot this dude, so we're going to go for the long shot now. Here we go. Don't shoot your friend. Missed. That's the problem, and if you've ever played a Warhammer game, you will know full well that the dice, they can be cruel. You roll those dice, and you are sometimes at the mercy of fate. I'm running in. Cabal Max is going to get stuck in and offer a fist. You killed my pal. Ooh! Pranged him. This dude, though, is hefty. Like, we've barely made a dent in him. I'm a bit concerned now. Get up off the floor. Sorry, we're going to have to all charge in. You can't shoot all of us at once. I'm sorry. Get around the corner. Get in the fight. I'm not having this. To the warp with better tech. This guy wants to flee. Longshot's fleeing. He's freaking out. I think it's because my guy got taken out. So, another mechanic here, especially when we're talking about gang stuff, is if the leader gets extinguished, killed, taken out for whatever reason, then it causes the rest of the gang to panic, and they can flee, which is what's just happened here. And I was thoroughly defeated. Got smashed to bits by that. The amount of reputation the gang earns depends on successfully completing a mission, which I did not. Owned. I will say, I was going to say that I did win the previous mission, which I did, but I think I should just accept my crushing defeat there early on.
Or you can just say that it never happened. We moved on to the next.
I'm going to say that it was one of those missions where you have to die and you were supposed to die. Yeah, you know those? That was one. That was
yeah. It doesn't matter what the income is if you win or lose.
It was definitely that, wasn't it? So we're still being guided through. It's telling me about my reputation. When the reputation bar is full, the next successful patrol will take over a new territory. That's good to know. Right, there we go. Once again, we are playing Necromunda Gang Skirmish. This is a preview build of the game. This is not the finished project. You can see the beta code there in the lower right. Just to prove it, I'm going to head over, and that was my final cycle. So I have been paid 96 credits, and apparently received no injuries. I got taken out a few times, but no injuries. Now this is back into how you run your own turf. So between cycles, you can use your hideout to manage your gangsters and select hideout to visit this location. So if I hit the hideout, we can go back and check out our folks, our crew. A new gang joins the countless others battling for supremacy in the Underhive. What will they be called? Pick a name for the gang! Now we're talking. Right. Name. Oh, that's the bit I'm supposed to text. So they're currently called the Van Saar. What am I going to call them? Ooh, this is always tricky. This is the bit where in RPGs I will spend literally years doing character customization, and then after a while I will restart if I don't like the way I've customized my character.
So that's the best way to play an RPG game.
That's the move, because I've got to look at them for 1,000 hours. So I'm going to call them the Trash Compactors. And I'm going to see if I can fit that in to... I'm going to do a Z at the end of it, because that's a Warhammer thing. If you know about the War Boys, they have a Z at the end of their name. So there you go. They are the Trash Compactors. The gang's hideout lets you review progress and manage your gangers. Select any of the options. Okay, sweet. Right, so I can take a look at the gang themselves. Manage and upgrade your gangers. So we've got a little list of stats here. And again, we're falling into proper RPG territory here, doing with our strength and our health, constitution, power, that kind of thing. So I can use the arrow buttons down here to increase based on the upkeep that I have up top. And also flip between the different dudes. So Sargon Hines, Longshot Max, Cabal Max, these are all my crew. The right hand panel shows the current stats, and I can select any of those to learn what it is that they do. So we get into the real granular numbers thing. Do you like numbers games? Do you like seeing the numbers go up?
Yes, it's pretty satisfying actually. When you see like, oh, your stat is on like 5 or something like that, and then it boosts up to like 22 or something. Just like that.
There are certain games. I always think of like Destiny as just a numbers game. You're just passively watching the counter tick up while occasionally shooting a dude, and that's quite fun. I'm gonna check out this trading thing. So I haven't looked at the trading post yet. So a limited selection of items can be purchased near the hideout. Some readily available for credit, others require expending favor. So there's a stat called favor. Cycle through the options of missile, melee, munitions, and equipment. Ooh. And that's the fun thing about this, because when we're talking about Necromunda versus something like 40k or whatever, 40k you're dealing with armies, you're dealing with proper weapons, heavy bolters, all that kind of business. And then likewise the Warhammer Fantasy one, it's swords and shields and arrows. With this, it's like Yankee broken guns, smashed bottles, crowbars, that kind of thing. It's not slick. It is all the stuff that you would find in the abandoned ruins of some like god-awful, half-destroyed office block. So
it's good to stick within that sort of theme.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be very jarring if the weapons did look clean.
Yeah, you want that kind of what they call, I guess, lived universe or worn universe. I forget what it is. There's a term they use for Star Wars where the fact that everything's dirty and about 30 years old and stuff. It looks like it's been lived in, and I really like that. Whereas some sci-fi goes for the super shiny Apple Store type thing, which is maybe a a little less interesting. So we're going to find an unarmed ganger, because I think that's why we got taken out. Not because I was rubbish. It was because he didn't have a gun. All right. And we're going to select equip and get this guy hooked up. So where is the... Got upkeep, got XP. Where's the equip button? I can't see the equip button. No. Brawn. No, I don't want that.
Universe, that's what it's called.
Yes.
Thanks, Dave, in the comments.
Whoever said that, yes, you're absolutely right. I'm going to close that down and close that down. I'm looking for the equip button and I can't find it. I'm blind to it. It's gone. That's the upkeep. That's the XP. Oh, I can spend... I will, actually, while I'm here. I will spend a point to train him up. Oh, I've got a crate thing. I've got some stuff. Good. Nicely done. Cancel, and go back. Go to equip. It's on the previous menu. That's why. Primary weapon. Smash it into his hand. Equip. That's more like it. Return to the map. Run the next cycle. Right. Now we're in business. So, continue. So this is the next cycle. So part of it's the upkeep and part of it's the battles. Let's begin. First thing is a patrol. Badging. Let's see if we can do a little bit better. I say we, like I'm offloading the responsibility onto you, but it was me.
I'm here in support.
Thank you, moral support for my
my
poor gang skirmishes.
#1 fan of this broken gang.
So when you do play mobile stuff, what do you tend to lean towards? Because for a lot of people, mobile games are things like, Clash Royale and they're very easy pick up and play. For some people, for a huge, crowd of people, it's things like Candy Crush. And, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. For a lot of people, it's an easy, relaxed, pick up and play 5 minutes thing. What do you tend to go for?
So back in the day, I used to play PUBG Mobile.
Okay.
Quite a bit. Which was really fun. I think I played it quite a lot when it first came out for the mobile. But nowadays, I tend to lean more to a game called Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle.
Oh, really? You played that?
Yeah, I'm a massive Dragon Ball Z fan. So
right.
Yeah, it just feels really good to play. Very easy to play. Well, some of the events are hard, of course, but the gameplay is like really easy to follow. And once you're loaded into it, it's very easy to learn and all that sort of stuff. The music, like the soundtrack, the art styles, all the card arts, they're absolutely amazing.
Is that because you were a fan of the anime going in, or did you approach it from the game side of it?
Yeah, so I was a fan of the anime and all the games and manga and all that sort of stuff beforehand. And
so I'm getting excited because I put a character on Overwatch and it worked.
Yeah.
And now I'm pleased.
Yeah, so my friends told me about this game and I was just like, oh, it looks kind of interesting. And then I picked it up, downloaded it, and haven't been able to put it down since.
Right.
Dropped quite a bit of money on it, I'm not gonna lie, being a gacha game and all that.
Yeah.
But I've enjoyed it. They've also got like another game called Dragon Ball Legends, which I also play. It's more of your sort of fighting game rather than a color popper compared to Dokkan Battle. But
sure.
Yeah, I've played the Candy Crush Saga and Farm Heroes, all them sort of games. Nowadays, yeah, it's just mainly about Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle for me.
That's what you plugged into. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm locked in, wired in. I'm ready to go with that all the time.
Are you able to do that thing where you can play multiple games simultaneously and flip between them, or do you tend to dial in on one or two and that's it? Your brain is full.
Bit of both. It depends on what event I'm doing on each game. So there'll be if there's a hard event on Dokkan, for example, then I'll just stick on that and make sure that I'm focused and I want to beat this boss.
Yeah.
But if it's like say you're just going through the stories just to collect some sort of stuff, then yeah, then I'll switch to other sort of stuff, and I'll go onto Pokemon Go, for example, then just see a Pokemon, catch a Pokemon real quick, and then dive back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on the sort of mood and the event I'm doing.
That's what you get. I've just won an astonishing victory against the same person. I think maybe it was supposed to be a proper have to die event, because we just trounced him that time. So I think the game was teaching me about failure.
Yeah.
And I'm like, game, you don't need to tell me. I know, I'm well equipped to deal with this.
Can't always succeed. It'd be too easy then.
We all deal with it. So now I'm getting nice big levels. My dude with a terrifying little. It looks like a metal. I was trying to think maybe it's a beard like this going on, but it looks like it's made of metal. I'm slightly alarmed. We're heading into the closing minutes of this. The time whenever I start playing the games, I look up and it's like, oh, the stream's over. But I want to once again reiterate that everything that you've seen us cover today, all information can be found over on Pocketgamer.com, which is a site you should already have bookmarked, and if not, why not? So if you need to find out anything we've seen today, or just like what's happened today, whatever, all of our news hounds are all over it. I was going to say 24 hours a day, probably most hours of the day, to be honest with you. And it's a good site. I'm not going to lie. We've spent lots of time on it, and everyone on there's
great. Yeah, it's all right. It's only no, it's an amazing site. Yeah.
Is it? So
not being too biased, but
quite right.
Yeah.
So get involved over there, and of course, do come back and join us tomorrow, because we are going to be playing some new games that previously haven't been played for, like this one. We're also going to be showing you new footage from games that haven't been released. We're going to be covering updates for the more interesting games that have been released that we choose to follow over the site, and much more. I'll also be joined by another host. We're going to have Danielle coming back to the fold, who's joined me on the previous Pocket Gamer shows. So you're not just going to be stuck with me, you lucky people. Let's go and see how many people we're destroying this time. I can see at least 2 over there in the corner. I'm getting Doom vibes from the soundtrack. I don't know about you.
Yes, yeah.
There's a Mick Gordon flavour to all of this that I'm detecting.
Yeah.
But what it's doing is it's not overwhelming me. So it does feel like, I mean, I have played XCOM, so I'm familiar with how that game functions. And so the kind of stripped down, smaller number of units, smaller playing field. Again, I think it suits mobile better because the characters are just bigger on screen and it's more easy to manage and manipulate. But also for someone like myself, I find it more personal. I like to see the whites in my enemy's eyes before I headbutt them with my spiky mohawk. Oh, there's 3 of them now. Right. Castor, Gif, and Oblat Rot. They do have good names. I am going to salute their naming convention. Fair play. Hang on, don't do that yet. Right. I think I have to put some characters in Overwatch. I'm going to put you in guard. I've got you parked around here. I think if I move you... Those guys are going to run next turn. So I'm going to put you in Overwatch. Meanwhile, you are going to take a pot shot at Salazar Hard. Go on, go for it. I got him! Half damage and pinned. Nice. That worked out better than I expected. Oh no. They're thinking.
Well, they do say you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, and you took that shot.
That is very kitten hanging off a tree inspirational poster of you, Charlie. But thank you. I appreciate the support there.
Of course, I'm your #1 fan, like I said.
That's right. So, I'll move this guy. Actually, no. Stay where you are. No, I'm gonna go for guard. So, those of you who have watched, those of you who have been chatting away in the chat, we vastly appreciate it. We thank you for participating. We are going to be back again tomorrow, 5 p.m. UK time, which I think is around about 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 midday Eastern, or 1 hour shy, either way, if you're in the US. But we'd love to have you come back. We've got lots more to share with you. And in the meantime, make sure you're subbed to the Pocket Gamer YouTube channel and go over and check out even more news and business on PG. We'll have to say thanks again to Infinite Galaxy, who have been our sponsors for this show. And obviously you can find the links to everything we've talked about over on PC. Make sure you go and get that unlock code for that game as well. But in the meantime, Charlie, pleasure to talk to you, sir.
Pleasure to talk to you as always. Yeah, thanks for having me on it.
Yes, and we'll have you back in the future, no doubt. But in the meantime, we're going to sign us. So thank you all for watching. We will see you in the not too distant future, and come back tomorrow more of the same. Take it easy, everybody. Bye-bye.